It's a sculpture. Of me. Can't you tell? It's a work in progress, okay? Dear Tim and Moby, what's the big deal about sculpture? Thanks, Boffo. Sculpture is a kind of three-dimensional artwork made by shaping different materials into shapes and figures. And right there is why it's such a big deal. Sculptors take random blobs of material and shape them into meaningful and often beautiful forms. Moving on, sculpture is one of the oldest art forms, going all the way back to prehistoric times. Even though the techniques have changed drastically since then, it's easy to see the goals of sculpture have pretty much stayed the same, to portray the qualities of life in non-living stuff. That's why animal and human forms are by far the most popular subjects. For thousands of years, sculptors have focused on capturing life's movement and softness in hard, motionless materials. Even abstract sculptures often include the curves of living things. Well, sculptors can use a lot of different materials. Stone, metal, wood, clay, wax, plaster, ice, anything solid enough to be shaped. I'm working with marble, a kind of stone that's a popular choice for making a statue. Statues are a common type of sculpture that represent a person, animal, or event. During the Renaissance, the Italian artist Michelangelo used marble to create his famous masterpiece, the statue of David. See how lifelike it is? You'd think it'd feel like warm human skin instead of cold, hard marble. A successful sculpture can make you want to touch it, but that's usually not such a good idea in a museum. Anyway, picking the material is only the first step. Sculptors also have a lot of different sculpting techniques to choose from. There's carving, where chunks of hard material like stone or wood are reduced to recognizable shapes and figures. Using tools like a rasp, a hammer, and a chisel, they grind, pound, and chip away all the unwanted parts to slowly reveal the masterpiece within. Then there's modeling, which uses materials that are soft enough to be shaped by hand, like clay or wax. Sometimes, sculptors add pieces of this stuff on top of an armature, a wire frame that supports the finished sculpture, sort of like a skeleton. A clay sculpture is usually fired in a kiln, a type of oven that hardens clay by baking it. Ta-da! What's that? You like this sculpture so much that you wish we could make more just like it? Well, good thing we have a third sculpting technique called casting. First, we create a negative image of the original sculpture called a mold. Crack open the mold and we're left with two pieces that form an empty space the exact same size and shape as our sculpture. All we have to do, more or less, is put the pieces back together and pour more liquid, plaster works for this part too, into the empty space. Once that dries and hardens, we'll have ourselves a perfect copy of the original. These are all pretty traditional methods of making sculpture, but artists use all sorts of techniques to make three-dimensional works of art. For instance, they can weld pieces of metal, sew fabrics, or even use manufacturing or construction tools to shape their work. Right, not all sculptures are freestanding or in the round. Relief sculptures project out from flat backgrounds like walls or even mountains. Well, just like any other art form, sculptures can serve different purposes. It can commemorate important leaders and historic events. It can be used to express religious themes. It can make a political or cultural statement. It can even just be pretty to look at. Oh, cool, you made a bust of yourself. No, a bust. A statue that shows a person from the chest up? Never mind.